Good morning, everyone, for this COREALIS webinar. Welcome. We have a nice program for today about the Valencia port. I will start firstly with the agenda and a very short overview of the presenters, and then we'll continue. Let's see, the agenda for today should be on your screen. We start with the COREALIS project overview by Elena Crigiani. Elena, could you give a short wave? Next, we will continue with an overview of the Living Lab by Carles Perez. Carles, could you show yourself?
Hello.
Then we'll discuss the TAS truck appointment system. Mrs. Susana Caminals will do that.
Hi.
Okay. Then the hackathon at Valencia Port. That's Lucia Calabria.
Good morning.
The just-in-time Rail Shuttle Service feasibility study will also be done by Carles Perez. And we end with Port of the Future series game by Wiebe de Boer.
That's me.
And questions and answers. During the presentations, I would kindly ask you to, if you have questions, please put them in the questions box so we can use them further on to use them further on in the questions and answers section. Before we start with Miss Elena, I would like to have a poll to check who is in and where you're from. If all goes well, then the poll should start now. During the webinar, we will do these polls after each presentation, just to get an overview on what you got and if it's relevant for you or not. So this is the first poll. After Wiebe's presentation, the Port of the Future series game, we get 2 additional polls. So we will be using this more often. Thank you for all your responses. The results. Well, 36% research organization, actually a nice number of port operators as well, consultants and other, a large number in other. So next time we should make it more specific, this poll. Thank you. And I suggest we continue with Miss Elena Crigiani, sorry, Elena. She has more than 6 years of experience as a project manager in several EU-funded projects, amongst which Horizon 2020, FP7, Erasmus Plus, and some national projects. And within these projects, she gained significant experience in environmental engineering, transport planning, security, and risk assessment. And her research includes sophisticated techniques of utilizing GIS systems, geographical information systems, and remote sensing techniques. She holds an MSc degree in urban planning and regional development, an MSc degree in geoinformatics, and she's currently obtaining her MBA at the National Technical University of Athens. Elena, are you ready?
Yes, Cohen, thank you very much. Good morning from my side as well. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I would like to welcome the audience on board to this COREALIS Valencia demo and training webinar entitled Empowering the Port City Sustainability. This is the COREALIS project overview presentation. COREALIS is a European Commission project funding under Horizon 2020 within the topic of the Port of the Future. It lasts for 36 months from May 2018 to April 2021. It is coordinated by the Institute of Computers and Communication Systems here in Greece, in Athens. It consists of 17 partners from 9 European and associate countries. Among them, there are 4 research institutes, 5 ports, 4 industry players, 3 SMEs, and 1 ITS associations. We have living labs in 5 European port cities, including the 3 out of the top 5 in Europe, namely the Antwerp port in Belgium, the Piraeus port in Greece, the Valencia port in Spain, the Livorno port in Italy, and the HaminaKotka port in Finland. What COREALIS is about? COREALIS proposes a innovative framework supported by disruptive technologies such as IoT, data analytics, next generation traffic management and 5G networks in order to assist ports to handle with their upcoming and future capacity, to optimize their port operations, to reduce their environmental footprint, to increase their efficiency and at the same time minimize their traffic within and around the ports, and to empower the sustainability of the socio-economic development of the port and its surrounding area. To do so, it comprises of a palette of port-driven and technological innovations. Among them, there are the Port of the Future serious game, which is a simulation tool for decision-making, the R2Port, which is a model-driven real-time control module which supports the 5G smart terminal operations, the brokerage platform, which is a cloud-based marketplace for leasing and exchanging intraport assets, the Portmon, which is an optimization modeling tool for container terminal operations, the Innovation Incubator, which is a SIM that makes the port the epicenter of the local industrial landscape. The truck appointment system, which is a reservation system which includes real-time traffic data. The just-in-time Rail Shuttle Service, which is a feasibility study for the key port-hinterland corridors. The Cargo Flow Optimizer, which is an optimization tool for the ocean rail inland waterway cargo flows. The Predictor for Asset Management, which is an optimization and machine learning tool for the efficient use of the port assets. And finally, the Green Cookbook, which is a cost-benefit analysis and a roadmap for reducing the port's environmental footprint. Here you can see a matrix of the COREALIS demonstration versus innovation. Today, my colleagues will present the ones that deployed in Valencia port, namely the truck appointment system, the just-in-time Rail Shuttle Service, the Innovation Incubator, and the Port of the Future serious game, which is part of all the COREALIS Living Labs. Now I will give the floor to Julia, which is going to showcase the COREALIS video.
Ports are essential for the European economy and the economic growth, as the 74% of goods exported or imported to the EU are transported via its seaports. At the same time, the challenges they are facing are only getting greater. Volumes of cargo are increasingly higher. Number of vessels is shrinking. Cargo flows types are changing due to technological trends, such as Industry 4.0. Cargo port operators are struggling to comply with the increasingly stricter environmental regulations and societal views for sustainable operations. COREALIS' vision is to embrace circular economy models in the port strategy and operations, to reduce ports' total environmental footprint, to optimize yard capacity and improve safety without major infrastructural investments, to streamline cargo flows in favor of green transport modes, to encourage ports to become an innovation hub of the local, industrial and urban space, to improve port-city stakeholder collaboration for medium and long-term decision-making. To achieve its vision, COREALIS is developing a palette of port-driven, technological and societal innovations, a reservation system including real-time traffic data, a cloud-based marketplace for leasing and exchanging intraport assets, an optimization planning modeling tool for container terminal operations, a model-driven real-time control module supporting 5G smart terminal operations and IoT, an optimization machine learning tool for efficient use of port assets, an optimization tool for ocean, rail, inland waterway cargo flows, a simulation tool for decision making, a cost-benefit analysis and roadmap for reducing ports' environmental footprint and achieving energy network efficiency, a feasibility study for key port hinterland corridors, a scheme making the port the epicentre of the local industrial landscape. COREALIS innovations are implemented and tested in real operating conditions in 5 European port living labs.
Oh, thank you, Elena.
Thank you, Cohen.
For the overview, next up is Mr. Carlos Perez. He's Project Manager Innovation and Port Cluster Development at the Fundación Valencia Port. He's a civil engineer and holds an MSc in Port Management and Intermodal Transport by the ICADE Business School. He has more than 6 years of experience in the port industry, where he's promoting innovation in the Port of Valencia. As a project manager, he has developed his career promoting, managing, and executing R&D projects, in which he applied new technologies, ICT tools, and Industry 4.0 concept to the port logistics industry. This was in the areas of intermodal transport and port terminals. Go ahead, Carlos.
Okay, thanks for Cohen for the presentation. I guess you can see my screen. Well, thanks everyone for attending to this webinar. Well, as Cohen said, I'm a project manager. I'm also the responsible of the COREALIS project here in the Port of Valencia. And today I'm going to introduce you a little bit with what is the Port of Valencia, some key figures, and also the innovations that we are testing here under the framework of the COREALIS project. Well, some of the key figures of our port is that we are, according to the figures of 2019, the second port in the Mediterranean Sea in container cargo with more than 5.4 million TEU and a bit more than 81 tons. We are located in a privileged location in the Mediterranean Sea, in the West Mediterranean, because we are really close to the Suez-Gibraltar axis, and also we have a geostrategic position in the Iberian Peninsula because we are the major port close to the Spanish capital, Madrid. Also, the port moves more than 1 million passengers traffic, considering regular lines on cruises. And we are a mixed hub, which means that 50% of our cargo is import-export and the other 50% is transshipment. In terms of connectivity, the hinterland connection of the port is mainly done by road, with more than 5,000 trucks calling at the port gates in daily basis, and the rail share is a bit more than the 73% of the modal share. Now also the Port Authority is reviewing the strategic plan, and the 3 pillars of the new strategic plan of the Port Authority are the Port 4.0, Smart Port and Digital Port, zero emissions, and also the promotion of the innovation, which are completely in line with the objective of the COREALIS project. Now I'm going to show you a bit which is the layout of the Port of Valencia. The port counts with 3 main container terminals, which are owned by the 3 major shipping lines in the world. MSC Terminal, which has a dedicated terminal in the port, CSP, which is the COSCO shipping line that has the biggest terminal in the Port of Valencia, and then the third one is the APM Terminals, which is the terminal brand of the Maersk shipping line. Besides, the port is immersed in an expansion plan that will duplicate the capacity of the port in the near future, and will have one of the most innovative terminals in the world for container cargo, which will be fully automatic. Besides, the port also moves ro-ro traffic and has a terminal owned by Grimaldi Lines, and also the car brand Ford has an export terminal inside the port facilities. One important fact of the port is that the interface between the port and the city is now becoming an innovation cluster, which facilitates the promotion of the innovation not only in the city, but also within the port. Well, in terms of connectivity, which is one of the key aspects of the port, currently the port counts with one single road access that surrounds the city, which avoids the congestion inside the city due to the road traffic and the trucks that access the port, and also has a railway access that connects the port with the main railway lines of the country and of Europe. These rail lines are both with international gauge and also with the Iberian gauge, and can accommodate trains up to 750 meters in length. Well, after these key figures of the port, I'm going to introduce you briefly the different innovations that we are testing here in the port of Valencia, and that later on my colleagues will explain with more detail. The first one tackles the optimization of the road transport and is the track appointment system, which has a module, well, different functionalities, with a module for container terminals, in which the container terminals can dynamically create different queues for empty, full, import or export containers, and later on define the different slots to which the truck operators can perform the container pickup and delivery operative. Then the transport operations have an appointment management module where they can select the slot in which they want to perform the different operations. And then this system is also gathering information in real time to monitor the position of the different trucks, so that terminal operator, transport operators, and also the drivers of the truck can know in real time which is the estimated time of arrival of this specific container delivery to the port premises. The idea behind this system is to provide more visibility to these road transport operations in the port. The second innovation is the just-in-time Rail Shuttle Service feasibility study, in which we have assessed one specific corridor, a key corridor for the port of Valencia, which is the Valencia-Zaragoza corridor, in which we have analyzed the rail line, the service characteristics, the engineering of the processes that are currently working. We have defined which are the system requirements that has to be implemented to improve the modal set of this rail line, and also we have proposed a new business model for the operative of this shuttle service, because the idea of this shuttle service is to increase the modal split in this specific corridor, but also in other rail corridors of the port of Valencia. And then the last innovation of the port of Valencia is the Incubator Scheme, in which the idea is to promote the innovation between the port logistic community and also the emerging cluster of innovation that is in the city, in order to establish new networks, partnership agreements to promote the innovation with the startups, entrepreneurs, students, and so research centers. And what we are going to do is to organize the Valencia Port Hackathon, which will be an online event between the 20th and the 17th of November, in which we will invite professionals, startups, students, research and development people to tackle the main challenge that the Port of Valencia is currently facing. And we will do it in an online format with 4 challenges proposed by the port community, and we will give 3 different prizes to the best projects presented in this hackathon. Later on, we will give you a bit more details of it. And well, that's all from my side, Cohen.
Okay, thank you, Carles. We'll listen to you a little bit more later on in the agenda. For now, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Susanna Caminant, who will give some information on the TAS truck appointment system. Susanna has worked at SES for more than 15 years She belongs to the Government and Institutions Division, where she has accumulated experience in innovative solutions for facilitating international trade and cross-border track and trace of goods and people. Over the past years, she has specialized in customs brokerage and comprehensive state-of-the-art monitoring solutions for road freight and sea transport industry. Moreover, Susanna has been trained as an auditor, and she is a product certification expert. And as a business developer, she has rolled out nationwide services and trained dedicated teams. Recently, she has also been involved in the STS compliance activities. Susanna, go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Koen. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar, especially to those coming or joining us from other time zones, and for you who have been able to find the time to be present today and make this find the gap in your very tight agendas. I am Susanna Caminals, as well introduced by my colleague Koen, and I will focus today in explaining the characteristics of the track appointment system, which has been developed and implemented in the ports of HaminaKotka, Finland, and Valencia, Spain. And also, I will share our experience of 1 year after using this tool in the port of Valencia. Without further dilation, let's go on. We are all familiar with what booking systems are. We have experience of using them in our daily lives and in different business sectors. We know the principle of appointment systems for getting an appointment to a doctor, or to book a ticket for an event, to go to a supermarket, or to visit a monument. So the principle is always the same. It's make a reservation in advance so that it is expected when we will arrive to that place and the volume of people or actors that would be arriving at a specific time. The concept may receive different names, especially in the transport and the supply chain industry. We may hear track or gate appointment systems, e-gate pass, vehicle booking systems, but in fact, it's all the same. They are typically used for regulating the incoming vehicle flow in vehicle inspections, in border crossing, in custom X-ray scannings, to regulate the flow of traffic in port premises, and also to manage port terminal operations. Within COREALIS, a track appointment system was developed specially to optimize and to manage the terminal resources and the operations of terminals to the expected volume and the type of activity by knowing in advance the volume of trucks that would arrive and the type of operations to be done. Also to regulate the incoming traffic to the port premises and the city surrounding areas, and to create a channel of communication between the terminals and the drivers of the transport companies to optimize the cargo delivery and also inform on delays and so on. As expected results, it was expected to reduce the idle time in both terminals and transport company operations, and to have more productive and efficient operations at terminals. Also, to prevent traffic congestions by spreading the track arrival departures throughout the day or the week, and as a consequence, to reduce pollution and to improve the sanitary conditions in the port surrounding areas. In Valencia Living Lab, in the port of Valencia, the track appointment system was developed taking into consideration the user-specific requirements of that port. It was called an advanced TAS in contraposition to the port of the TAS implemented in the port of HaminaKotka, which was a simplified version of Valencia's. The track appointment system in Valencia consists of an e-platform. It's an online service, and also is complemented by a mobile application to get some extra functionalities. The TAS has been used since September last year in 3 terminals, 1 type of queue, which was for export, container export, and the slots were configured every 60 minutes and with a capacity of 10 trucks within each slot. 2 transport companies were involved in this first series of pilot. Before the pilot, traffic congestion at the port entrance was significant. Terminals had no visibility of the incoming traffic, that is, when trucks would arrive for a certain operation, and the truck drivers and the transport companies did not know if they would pick up or deliver the container immediately or if they would have to wait. During the pilot, terminals have been able to know in advance which trucks, the containers and operations that would be performed at any given moment, and terminals have been able to plan their resources and operations in advance. As a direct positive impact, the queues at the port gates have reduced. The terminals have also reduced their idle time and have experienced faster operations, and there has been full visibility of the port delivery and pickup operations, and also the operations, there has been full visibility of the operations in real time for container terminals and transport operators alike. The track appointment system is thought to be used by different roles or different users with different functions. The first of all is the administrator. The administrator is the profile thought for the port authority. It's the user with full visibility and maximum permissions, being able to see all the terminals, the queues, the companies and the users registered in the TAS, and also the bookings that have been created. It also has full visibility on statistics and reporting. Terminals have super users and standard users. Being the super users, the user or the profile thought for the operations team leaders. These have full visibility of their own terminal and have advanced permissions, especially for creating new users, activating, deactivating users, and also have enhanced functions in statistics and reporting. Transport companies have also, as terminals, super users, standard users, which would be these standard users, the operational department for booking creation, and they have the particularity of have an extra role for the drivers. Drivers, we know that their main function is to drive and to get the goods to the port, but they can interface with the track appointment system by means of a mobile application with limited functions, but very important because they can show the GPS position of the trucks and allow to get that position and to know the estimated time of arrival to the port. Drivers have as functionalities to start. They can start the trip. They can reschedule the trip if they are late, and they can get communications both from terminals and from their transport company users. The track appointment system, as Carlos has mentioned earlier, has different modules. It consists of a first primary module, which is for the capacity management module used by the terminals to configure their service hours, when they will be receiving the trucks, and which capacity of trucks they will be receiving at each specific time. Then there is an appointment management module used by users to make these reservations, to book each slot, and all the bookings are compiled in a dashboard in the third module, which is the information module, which displays all the bookings in a dashboard and also manages the information in form of statistics and reporting that can be extracted from the platform. These modules are also complemented by another module, which is an estimated time of arrival module, which gets the information from the tracks, from the GPS location of each track, and calculates their distance to the port and the scheduled booking. The tasks can also be integrated with other third-party systems, such as the port community systems, city traffic control, or weather forecast, and so on. It's an open solution, modular, that it's upgradable and scalable. Here we have a slide showing the terminal configuration as a terminal user would see it. Terminals are configured showing the GPS position and can get a map from Google Maps. Then each terminal can configure the service hours, the type of queues or the houses that they have, and the slot duration and slot capacity. In this case, it's every 60 minutes there is a slot, and the capacity is 10 tracks per slot. Users will make reservations in the task by means of this screen. They will enter this screen and then make a booking in 5 very easy steps. The first of all is to select the terminal by means of a scroll down menu where they choose the terminal. Second step is to select the queue. They will also have to select a queue by a scroll down menu. Then select the time slot from a calendar, the time, the date, and they will insert the vehicle data and the driver's data. Not all these data from the 4th and 5th step are compulsory from the very beginning, but it is important to get all this information at least 1 hour before the slot, so that terminals know in advance which driver and which vehicle will be approaching the port, also for security reasons. Here we see the bookings dashboard and also the driving status, which is reflected and is fed from the mobile application that drivers use. The driver status is calculated depending on the GPS position provided by the application to the port destination and the expected time of and the booked slot, and then the application will show if the track is early in time or late. Here we have a more detailed explanation of the driver's functionalities from the TAS mobile application. A driver will see in their mobile the booking details, the real trip duration as being located as their GPS position, the route that will provide the application. Then they will be able to receive automated alerts. For instance, 1 hour before slot, they will receive a reminder. And also the ETA, the estimated time arrival, and the driving status as early, late, or in time. And they will get notifications from terminals and from users of their own company. The drivers will be able to show when they start the trip to the port, and they will be able to reschedule the trip also. The communication in TAS has two different is managed in two different ways. The first of all is a notifications management module, which allows terminals and transport companies to communicate, and also users with terminals and the users of one transport company with the drivers from the same transport company. This notifications management is just to send notifications or send messages, but without a reply. It's just a read mode. And these messages can be sent by means of an SMS, an email, or through the mobile application used by drivers. All this information, of course, can be exported in form of reports and statistics as all the information, all the data that is recorded in the TAS. The second module conforming the communication is the feedback module. This module, it's only in the e-platform, allows communication between the terminals and the transport companies and vice versa. This communication allows questions and replies, and it shows a feedback dashboard displaying when and at what time a question has been done, has been answered, which is the last replay, the subject, and well, different information about one message, also if it's active or closed. Whenever a terminal gets a message, an alert is shown indicating or advising that you have new feedback or you have to answer some feedback. All this information is also can be exported to manage KPIs for average response time, for in order to know the queries per user, per company, and so on. And last, we have the statistics module. The statistics module is comprises predefined and customizable reports, and its purpose is to check the TAS overall performance, to check also to have reporting functions, to define KPIs, key performance indicators, and it's also for monitoring and planning purposes. The users that have access to this statistics module are administrators and the super users of both the terminals and the transport companies. All the information can be extracted in PDF and CSV format. And as an example of report that you can filter by a certain period of time, how many bookings have been created, which of them have been closed or are active. You can filter by terminal, by company, by type of queue, by driving status, if they are late or in time, and so on. And to sum up, well, during 1 year of using the TAS, there have been some new ideas and some new needs that have been have arisen from the users and also the users of the applications in general. And here we present you some of the topics that have raised most interest among the stakeholders. For instance, the TAS can be further developed and get some APIs and to be integrated with third-party systems as traffic, city events, weather forecast. It can include also biometrical recognition of drivers and so on. Then And it could also be complemented by a pre-booking function or a new task user profile being able to do this pre-booking. This would be useful when, for example, shipping companies or forwarders are involved in port operations and are not the companies that will be finally moving the goods. They will not be the transport companies. They will allocate this function to transport another transport company, and also automatic rescheduling and suggesting new available slots based on machine learning techniques and analytics. And linked to this also the suggestion of alternative routes depending on the driver's preferences, delivery schedules, traffic congestions, and so on. Well, this has been an overall description of the track appointment system. I hope that this has been of interest to all of you. And if you have questions, I will be glad to answer them at the end of today's session. And you can also write them on the chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susanna. Quickly, then we will move to a poll to see if this is relevant for you. Some other questions. I don't know if the poll has started already. Yes, there it is. In the meantime, questions, if they are not answered, then we will ensure that they will be answered at a certain point. Please fill in your responses. We did get some questions. And yeah, we'll get back to that at the end. Only 20% have voted, 25%. We'll give some very small time for the rest to do it. Okay, let's close the poll. Let's not close the port. You see, it's actually two types. Some are already deployed in the port, that's good. And the rest is interested and has not been deployed in the port. So all information is also available at the COREALIS website. If you're interested, please feel free to contact us all. I would like to move to Ms. Lucia Calabria, who's an R&D project manager at the Fundación Valencia Port. She's an economist with a master in port management and logistics. She joined the Valencia Port Foundation in September 2014. Since then, she has been working on several R&D projects. She has been specializing in the fields of public procurement, of innovation and innovation entrepreneurship. She does this by engaging the Valencia entrepreneurship ecosystem into the port sector, performing scouting activities, hackathons, and she has completed the professional certificates in business incubation by the University of Salamanca. Lucia is currently leading the initiative Super Labs, Innovation and Entrepreneurship in Climate Change for the American Port Sector. This is a co-creation hub with the purpose to apply an open innovation strategy through the co-design of demand-based innovative solutions that can be developed and implemented in the Port of Valencia in order to contribute to achieving the net zero emissions challenge by 2030. Lucia, the floor is yours. You're muted, Lucia.
Yeah, I've seen that. Thank you, Cohen, for the presentation, and welcome everybody. Do you see my screen? I guess you see it. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, because I see myself. Okay, now. Okay, so I'm going to present the innovation incubator from COREALIS. Well, as Cohen already presented me, I don't need to. I can't. No. I don't need to say anything else. I'm a part of the team working in the hackathon. So I'm going to explain you a little bit what's going on and what's going to happen. So we are organizing this hackathon for a week. At the beginning of the project, we wanted to do a big in-person event, and well, due to COVID, we needed to readapt ourselves. So now we are running an online format hackathon, which will be started on the 20th of November. We have already a website, which you can see there, and we are going to launch the website during this week. We are going to invite all kinds of participants, like for example, startups, students, also people working in corporations. It's a global event, so anyone can join and can participate. Let's say that the logo of this event is innovating and transforming to achieve the smart, green, and resilient port of the future. And it is based on the principles of innovation for Valencia Port. This is a collaborative project. We have collaborators that are sponsoring this event, namely the Port Authority of Valencia, also Costco Shipping, which, as Carles said, they have the biggest terminal in the Port of Valencia. Grupo Romeo, which is a logistic operator, a global logistic operator, and Global Alliance for Trade Facilitation, is as well a partner. They are challenge owners as well. They will be putting a challenge each one, and well, I will tell you afterwards about this. We also have the collaboration of Fundación Juan Arizo, Propeller Valencia, and Alice. They are promoting 3 of the prizes, and we also have an IT partner, which is here, that is providing the maps and their applications for this hackathon. So the timeline that we are playing with is this one. The registration is opening this week. Then we will have around 3 weeks for engaging participants. Oh, sorry. How can I go? There. The opening ceremony will be on the 20th of November with the presentation of the challenges and the presentation of the mentors, etc. Then we will have some dates for ideation and prototyping, always managed by mentors from the hackathon. And on the 27th of November, there will be a pre-judging process. And then on the 27th, we will have the demos and the closing ceremony, where we will give the prizes. We have 4 challenges, as I said before. The first one from Valencia Port Authority is about circular economy in ports. Well, we are looking for energy models based on waste, the revalorization of waste, also collaborating with the city, etc. It's a very open subject, and we are expecting a lot of participants and lots of new ideas. We also have the challenge for Costco, which is focused on optimization of road transport operations in order to improve efficiency in the port. We also have the challenge for Grupo Romeo, which is focusing on new business models for rate management and e-pricing. And we have the Global Alliance challenge that is about trade facilitation and addressing delays and unnecessary waiting times at borders. So very interesting challenges. The participants can choose in which challenge they want to participate. We will have mentors from the challenge owners, but also from Valencia Port Foundation and from some of the partners in COREALIS. And also the jury, we will have experts and high level people for the last closing ceremony and the jury. So this is the prize pool. The first place prize is 3,000 euros, which is, we are very proud of achieving this amount. This is rewarded by Fundación Juan Arizo. Then the second place is 1,000 euros, rewarded by Propeller Valencia, the association. And then we have in third place the prize from Alice, which is also 1,000 euros. So as I was saying before, where are we today? We are in the imminent launch of the website. This week it will be launched and we will be able to recruit the participants. We are starting a communication plan since the launch of the website in order to recruit as much as we can. The target is we would like to have around more than 100 people and less than 300. So in order to be able to manage all those participants. Then we are also gathering data for the challenges in order for the participants to have something to work with. And we are also arranging webinars, interesting webinars for around the challenges and useful for the participants to develop their projects. One important thing is what will happen after hackathon. So the plan is to do a follow-up and monitoring of the key projects and the projects that want to develop the pilots and the prototypes in the Port of Valencia. We would like to facilitate this process, and maybe we would have the possibility to offer some incubation services from the Valencia Port Foundation. And we are also encouraging we will be also encouraging the participation to the next port 4.0 fund call. I will explain you just now how we will do this. As Cohen said before, we have this initiative, Superlab Port, which is a space for entrepreneurship and innovation. We are applying the open innovation strategy in the Port of Valencia. As we are in partnership with Climate Kick, we are very focused on our main goal, which is achieving net zero emissions in 2030. But we also can manage other kind of projects, as we are working since more than 15 years in innovation projects and developing pilots in the Port of Valencia. So Superlab Ports will be a tool to facilitate this following up of the hackathon results. Well, here you can see the space that we have in order to facilitate a creation space for startups, for students, for universities, and also for corporates. We are performing actions of mentoring. Before COVID, we had the networking events. We do scouting. We define the challenges from the port community of Valencia Port. And we do some awareness raising actions as well regarding climate action. And the fund Port 4.0 is the largest open innovation fund for the port logistic ecosystem. Tomorrow they will be closing this first launch of the fund. They are giving 12 million euros to startups innovating in this field, and we we are sure that they are launching at least 2 more calls. So we will be facilitating this presentation of projects for the participants of the hackathon as well. And that's it. If you have any questions, I unfortunately need to leave now, but my colleague Carles, he's in the team of the hackathon, and he can answer all your questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lucia. Next up, there's another poll. All the questions, if they are there, will ensure that they will be answered anyway. The poll should be showing very shortly. Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you.
Everyone should see the poll. Please vote. This is one of the interesting topics, or one of the typical topics of COREALIS, the Innovation Hub. It's nice to see what happens. It's also nice to see that people are voting. It's 35% have voted, which is nice. Last minute vote. Please do it. Let's close it and show the results. That's good to see that there are quite some ports that are doing this. And some are not doing it yet. But you can see the results, of course. Yeah, okay, very good. Thanks. We'll go to the next one, which is about the JIT rail service, just-in-time rail service. Carles Perez will do this. I don't need to introduce you because I already did. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Hello again, Cohen. Thanks. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we see your screen.
Okay, so thanks again. I'm going to present you the last innovation that is being tested in the port of Valencia, which is the just-in-time Rail Shuttle Service feasibility study. It's not an innovation itself; it was a study to boost, as I mentioned you in my first presentation, the rail connection between Valencia and Zaragoza, which is a key corridor for the port of Valencia. And well, the idea of the just-in-time shuttle was to firstly analyze the rail line, which is the status, how the port authority can invest on this line to improve it, improve the service, the number of trains going between Zaragoza and Valencia, which is the requirements for the operative model, locomotive, and so on. And also to create, which is an operative model similar to what in airports we have in an air bridge. Whenever you arrive to the airport and you have an air bridge, you can take the first plane available, and then you arrive to your city or destination. So here would be the same principle, but applied to cargo, so that at the end the containers are unloaded from the vessels and they go to the shuttle service, and whenever the first shuttle is available, they are loaded into the shuttle and go directly to the destination. As I said, this study not only analyzed the line, but also identified different IT requirements that are necessary to implement this service, and also proposed a business model using an innovative methodology that I will explain you later on. Well, firstly, some of the results of the study. In this study, there were assessed different scenarios with different inputs, variables, and hypotheses. The idea was to define which was the best solution in terms of number of trains, which capacity, how many containers, which is the best locomotive to be used, and so on. So at the end, two of these scenarios, which were the number 5 and number 6, were the optimal ones. Because the idea was to find the best solution with the lowest cost per TEU transported. Then, when these scenarios were selected and defined, it was carried out also a sensitivity analysis in which the different variables and inputs were accounted to see how was the impact of each of the input variables in the cost per TEU transported. So we carry out this sensitivity analysis at the end. The handling charge in the port terminal, the occupancy of the train, the fuel price, and the auxiliary services charge within the inland terminal were the main inputs that affect the cost per TEU transported. You can see there the final results, but of course the study is uploaded in the COREALIS website, and you can check the complete feasibility study. Here I just present some key figures of the results. Then another important thing that was identified in this study was the new roles and the new information requirements that were needed to implement this air-bridge concept to the shuttle service, because if we want to implement this service, the idea is that once the containers arrive to the terminal, they go directly from the vessel to the rail terminal in the port facility without being stored in the terminal yard. That saves movements of containers, housekeeping movements, and consequently fuel and unnecessary movements of the containers. But we have to know in advance which containers are going to be loaded in the shuttle so that we can perform this direct operation between the vessel and the rail terminal. So in this new service, port terminals will have to assume a new role, and we have to identify all these exchanges of information that are based on, in the case of Valencia, in the port community system, so that all this information flows smoothly between the actors, so that we can achieve this efficient improvement in the unloading operations of the containers. Then in the study, we also propose a new business model with an operative model in which instead of each rail operator managing their capacity, what we wanted was to gather all this capacity of the shuttle service in which what we call the shuttle entity, so that at the end, this shuttle entity will manage the entire capacity of the service. This shuttle entity will hire a railway undertaking to perform the rail transport, and also the shuttle will share the capacity among the different railway operators, so that they can hire different percentages of the capacity. And then we wanted to balance these percentages with a scheme in which the different operators can compensate the empty spots of the train if they don't reach the capacity they have hired between the different railway undertakings, so that we can, in this way, increase the occupancy rate of each of the trains. And then the different railway operators sell the spots on the train to the different shippers, and we have as much goods as possible carried onto the shuttle. That was the business model proposed for this specific rail corridor in between Valencia and Zaragoza. But of course, this business model, even though the first part of the study focused on the design of the line, which is the service characteristic, the business model is something that can be replicated in different rail corridors. And this is why we also did a workshop in which we invited the port community of the Port of Valencia, rail operators, terminal operators, rail undertakings, people from the Port Authority, and also people from the COREALIS consortium to discuss this business model proposed. And for it, what we used is a methodology which is called the business radar methodology, which is a methodology very useful for collaborative business models, because here you can see the final results, because at the end, in this methodology, what you put in the center of this radar is the service itself. In this case, the center is the main activity, the just-in-time rail shuttle, which pursues efficient green transport. And then we start adding, between an open conversation among the different stakeholders, we start adding actors, the shipper, the orchestrator, service provider, rail operator, governments, port authority, and so on. And each of these actors has different layers in which we analyze the cost and the benefits of each of the actors, which are the activities that they perform to, at the end, produce the final or the core activity, which is the shuttle service, and which is the value proposition. So at the end, with this methodology, we got these results that initially were for the rail shuttle between Zaragoza and Valencia, but of course this business model can be replicated in other rail corridors. And well, just wanted to mention that in one side, for the people that came to this workshop, they positively assess the shuttle because they saw potential of improvement for the majority of the actors, especially terminal operators, that they know in advance which containers are going to be loaded in the trains, so that they can, as I mentioned, avoid unnecessary movements. But also for the rail operators, because they can increase the occupancy at the end of the trains. They increase the capacity of the trains, they increase the occupancy, so for them is a better use of the assets. And also is totally in line with the port authority, because with this business model we can increase the modal share of the train in the Port of Valencia, which, as I showed you before, is a bit low compared to the road transport. And well, this is all from my side regarding the just-in-time shuttle service. If you have any other questions, I can answer them afterwards, and also you can, if you want to get the details of the study, it is available in our website.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting as well. Another poll will be started to see if you are aware of this, if you have deployed it, are interested or not interested, or if it's even applicable. So please fill in the poll. Again, if you have questions, please use the questions box of GoToWebinar, and I will ensure that all the questions will be handled at the Q&A session at the end. The poll is still open. Please fill it in. There are not that many responses, so if you have it open, please fill in the poll. Maybe it's good to close it to continue with the agenda. Now it's nice to see that a lot of the participants are preparing to deploy it. So actually, the innovation is applicable to most of the ones who voted. That's very good. Thank you. And then we move to Mr. Wiebe de Boer, who's a senior advisor, ports and coasts at Deltares in the Netherlands. Hello, Wiebe. Wiebe has about 10 years of professional experience in harbor and coastal engineering. He worked as a senior project manager and advisor at Deltares, which is an independent Dutch research institute. He has international experience on projects related to port infrastructure, nature-based solutions, and coastal erosion mitigation. Furthermore, he's a project developer at SmartPort on innovation projects in the port of Rotterdam. And in his work, Wiebe strives to apply new technologies and integrate knowledge from different disciplines to solve both today's and tomorrow's challenges, including sustainability and climate change adaptation. And the Port of the Future series game is a very nice combination of all of those. Go ahead, Wiebe.
Thank you, Koen, for this nice introduction. I hope you can all see my screen at the moment. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to introduce to you the Port of the Future series game, which was developed as part of COREALIS. Well, why did we develop this Port of the Future series game? Well, the motivation for that is that, of course, there's ongoing port developments, and Well, historically, they are mainly meant to accommodate economic and population growth. But well, nowadays we are focusing much more on inclusive green growth. So well, port development become more complex. It's more interdisciplinary. It requires a lot of stakeholders because it's about the economy, but also about the environment and about social aspects. So this is also referred to sometimes as the triple P: people, planet, and prosperity, or sometimes also called profit. And on top of that, we also see that ports are facing a lot of new challenges. So, well, we've seen quite a number of presentations on the possibilities of emerging technologies with the just-in-time rail service, but also with the truck appointment system. But there's also other challenges such as the energy transition and climate change. And no single party or no single stakeholder can solve those challenges alone. So we need to do that together, which means that we need to engage the stakeholders in these developments. So this is the reason or the motivation for developing the Port of the Future series game, which is first of all meant to raise awareness about, well, these interactions in the port between the different disciplines, different stakeholders, and also about these new challenges. And we do that with the digital simulation environment where we try to simulate real-world events. Second objective is then to involve the stakeholders. So the idea is that different stakeholders participate in the game to explore and discuss, let's say, what their port of the future should look like. And you see an example of such an interactive workshop from the pre-corona era, where then the stakeholders are in a discussion on what to do with their port of the future. And a third objective is, let's say, more education, that people start to learn more about multidisciplinary thinking and also the different stakeholder perspectives on port development. So this is why we developed the Port of the Series game. Now, what is it? So the Port of the Future series game is a game with a digital simulation environment and then actually a real-life workshop. Normally, in normal circumstances, we would have played this game live with you, but unfortunately, that is not possible in these times. So we do it with the webinar. Well, the setting of the port is a fixtures port, and the reason for that is that we can then play this game in different port settings. So for all the COREALIS Living Labs, for example, but also for any type of port around the world. The idea is that then the different stakeholder groups are thinking about their port of the future. And the stakeholder roles can be more dedicated to the local port context. So there's a group on the government, the port authority, investors, NGOs, terminal operators, but also, for example, maybe more environmental stakeholders. And well, the people need to think from their own perspective, what do I want to achieve in my port of the future? But then they also need to convince the other stakeholders about their wishes. So the whole game is meant to also step into the shoes of other stakeholders and try to understand their perspectives and come to a consensus to eventually select two measures each round. So the game consists of multiple rounds. In each round, you can select two measures to achieve something in your port of the future. Here you see examples of the cards that you can select. It's a bit maybe small to see, but one is about onshore power supply to ships, and the other one is about upgrading of handling equipment. And there are measures in all kinds of categories, so related to energy, logistics, port infrastructure, hinterland connections, and all those measures are scored on these PPP indicators, so on people, planet, and profit, and they have a cost and a benefit. Well, here you see those three indicators. Well, to score on those three indicators, we use KPIs. So for the people indicator, we look at things like employment, recreation, safety. And for planet, ecosystems, emissions, and climate vulnerability. And for the profit or prosperity indicator, we look at port profit, city port benefits, and operational efficiency. So based on these scores, then the players can see what is happening with their port. So here you see the scores on people, planet, and profit. And the idea is in the end that we will achieve inclusive green growth so that we have a kind of a balanced growth of these PPPs. So this is how the game works. So the people negotiate, they take measures, and then they see the feedback of what they have done in the simulation environment. Well, as I said, it's a fixture port, so it's kind of a uniform port, but to make it a bit more fit for purpose for a local context, the game also has scenarios and events. And the scenarios, they link a little bit to the challenges that the ports are facing these days. So it's about, for example, climate change adaptation, about energy transition, economic stagnation, and that's quite relevant now with respect to the Corona crisis. And there's also events, and these events can be used to basically trigger additional debate and conflict amongst the stakeholders. So the idea about events is that people also need to prepare for the unexpected. So if you take a measure, but you maybe have forgotten to take into account what it will mean for the employees, then you could expect maybe a big strike. Well, how do you deal with that? And then in the next round, the stakeholders have to think about measures to kind of deal with that new situation. So this is meant to, well, have some dynamics in the game. Well, as I said, unfortunately, we cannot play the game live, but well, we made a brief movie to give you a little bit of an idea of what this game looks like and how it works. So here you see then the digital simulation environment, where we first then select a scenario to play. Here you can select from the different scenarios depending on the local needs of the port. In this case, climate change adaptation, and you see that then the scores are adjusted based on that scenario. So in this case, in climate change, you have to work a bit on the people and planet indicators to make that better. Then you can select from a wide range of measures. You can do that in this digital environment, but also these cards that are now not here, but they can be scanned using a QR code. And then after selecting that, you get some visual feedback in the game. In this case, a brownfield port development where a new terminal is being built. And you see then also what that does with the scores on the people, planet, and prosperity indicators. In this case, there's also an island. It's just an example what you can do in the game. And after these measures, you see, well, that the scores have changed. In this case, the people indicator was positive, but the planet is still negative. Then in the subsequent round, you can, well, based on these scores, you can adjust your measures, and you can try to, well, improve on these scores. So again, then the stakeholders need to discuss about it. So now they're investing in green space, for example, and on electrification, which also has a positive effect on planet. And then again, you get feedback visually for what is, well, what is happening in the port, but also in terms of the scores. And then again, you can see on the main screen of the game, well, what has happened. In this case, well, it was a bit quick. You can see that in the end. So I will stop the video right here. You see here that the begin situation. Oh, sorry. You will see that in the beginning, the people was -3 and planet was -5 and profit was 0. And in the end, you see that the people improved quite a lot. The planet was not improved so much, and the prosperity it increased quite a lot. But it cost quite a bit of money for the measures that were taken. So in this way, you can, well, get feedback on, well, what all the actions that the stakeholders took, what they mean for the port. Okay. Let's move to the next. What I forgot to say is that it's also important that there is a facilitator of the game, and he or she should introduce the game and also facilitate the learning in the game. The focus of the game is on raising awareness and exploring what could be done to achieve the port of the future, let's say, but it's not a decision-making tool as such, because information in the tool is qualitative. So all the scores on those indicators are qualitative scores and not really quantitative. The results of the game could, of course, result into more quantitative follow-up studies if needed. What we learned from past experiences about, let's say, the usefulness of the game is that it is a nice and interactive way of learning about port developments and challenges. And it helps to better understand, let's say, what port sustainability is about, better understand each other's or stakeholders' viewpoints, and it helps also to think differently. So this was a very brief introduction into the Port of the Future series game. I'm open for questions, and if you want more information about it, you can also visit the COREALIS website or the Delta's website. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Wiebe. Very interesting presentation as well. We will have some polls now, one that's similar as the one that you used. This is one that I didn't expect at this point in time, but that's okay. Please let us know what you're currently doing to engage people in the transition towards the Port of the Future for stakeholder engagement. We have 3 polls at this point in time. This is the first one. 2 others will follow. I see some answers on different levels. That's good. Okay, let's close this poll. It's interesting to see that everybody does information brochures and meetings, which is the logical thing to do. The stakeholder workshops are also very nice, serious games. Some people did. And what's actually really good is everybody that answered is doing more than what has been required by legislation. So that's very good. Next poll. This one is specific for the Port of the Future series game as well. Please fill in the poll. We have some questions from the audience for the Q&A session. We also have some time for when the polls are done. I think it's okay to close it. So you see that most of the respondents find it interesting but don't have experience with it. Well, for information about any serious game, you can use the Port of the Future serious game example, which you can find on the COREALIS website. Let's continue to the next poll. This is the same poll as you already did for the previous innovations. Let's see the almost done. Give you a little over 30 minutes to fill in your answers. Okay, let's close it. I don't know if you see the poll results, but that would be good. I don't see them. I see that it's a 50-50 mark between preparing and not deployed yet. So that's interesting to see that we are actually on top of innovations with COREALIS. Thank you for your polls and results. There was a question on TAF for Susanna. Please, all the speakers, could you show yourselves, except for Lucia, because she's not in there anymore. Thank you all for your excellent presentations, by the way. We got a question from Mengdu from Dinnick about TAF. Has this been implemented or is it still under development? And if it has been implemented, how many trucks and companies are using it? And if you know it, what is the impact that you have achieved with TAS? Susanna, could you answer that question?
Yes, sure. I have mentioned during the presentation that it has been implemented in the port of Valencia and being used by three terminals and only one type of queue. Two transport companies have been using it. This, in principle, we have only been testing this during 1 year, but we have had enough data to evaluate the benefits of it. And in principle, both transport companies and terminals have been happy and have appreciated the visibility and the transparency they have had by sharing the data one with another, and this has also reverted in most efficient operations. I would like also to have a comment. Apart from the Valencia task, we have also implemented this in HaminaKotka in Finland, and then the use of the task was it was not even 10% of the whole traffic of the port, but the data and the results that we got were significant. 30 minutes idle time was reduced in 1 year, and also from 83% of operations of tracks arriving late at the beginning was improved almost to the other side. So after 1 year of using the task, 81% of the tracks were arriving a bit earlier than expected. I don't know if Carlos would like to add something else about the experience in Valencia, but
yes, yeah. Well, just to mention that even though we are using the same task IT platform in both sides, the concept behind the task that we are using in Valencia and the concept that we are using in Kotka is different. Let's say that the Valencia case is to provide visibility on the container delivery and pickup operation, whereas in the case of Kotka, as they are, if I'm not wrong, is for the wooden warehouses, they have strict timelines to accomplish the operation and very short time slots. I think it's 15 minutes or something like that, Susanna, in the case of Kotka. So at the end, it's even though it's the same platform, this platform can be reconfigured and it adapts to the different operatives that are quite different between Kotka and Valencia.
Okay. Thanks for your answers. One other question. For the Rail Shuttle, you used the business radar instead of the business model canvas. What are your experiences with that? What are the differences? How well is it? How useful is it?
Yeah, traditionally, business model canvas is the business model tool that is used for the design of new business model. But this new methodology that was proposed by our colleagues for DINIC follows a different approach, because business model canvas focuses on the enterprise, the company itself, and where you analyze what are your key resources, your key partners, the different channels, the revenues, the cost, but it's centered in the company. Whereas this business model rather it was good for this kind of collaborative business models, in where different actors with different roles and different activities provide their knowledge or their inputs to co-create the same value. In this case, is the shuttle. So it was a really good tool for the business model design, and it was really good appreciated by the users of our port community when we use them. And we are planning as the port authority to probably use this tool in new business models where different actors will have to collaborate each other. So if we are looking for a tool with different actors involved, we really think that this tool is a bit more clear than the traditional canvas business model.
Okay, thank you. Last question for Wiebe. Could you give an example of where and how the serious game has been applied in practice for development?
Yes, thank you for this question. Well, we usually you apply the game, let's say, in the preliminary stages of a port development. So, for example, we did it once for a master plan for a port in Tanzania. And then in the beginning, the stakeholders had to gather and to think about what to do. And then the Port of the Future series game proved very useful to basically set the common ground for those stakeholders to start thinking about this master plan. So it was basically a first step of stepping into each other's shoes, and then the engagement and the development process proceeded from there.
Okay, thank you. There are no other questions, and we have run out of time, just a little minute over, so that's very good. That would mean that we are at the end of the webinar. This webinar has been organized in combination with Ertico's Academy. If you're interested, please give it a visit. And thank you all for your time and presence. And I wish you all a very good continuation of the day. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.